In the middle of a dark and silent forest, the air is thick with fog. A woman's terrified scream cuts through the night as she runs barefoot through the trees. Her name is Emma, a wealthy heiress desperately trying to escape something that threatens her life. In her panic, she steps on a shard of glass that pierces her foot. The pain is unbearable, but she keeps running, refusing to give up. Just when she sees the road ahead, a hidden trap snaps shut and catches her. With the last of her strength, Emma carves a message into a tree that reads, "Emma is still alive." It is her final sign of hope, left behind in case someone finds her one day. But out here in the dark, hope never lasts for long. This is No One Lives. Time passes, and the scene shifts to a quiet highway. A couple drives down an empty road toward an unknown destination. The woman, Betty, looks upset about leaving their old city. She blames her boyfriend, Evan, for everything that has happened. Evan tries to calm her, but Betty stays cold and distant. As night falls, they stop at a small roadside motel. Evan checks in and pays with his credit card. The clerk pauses for a moment, noticing something strange about the name on it, but says nothing. Later that night, the couple sits in their room watching the news. The broadcast reports the disappearance of a woman named Emma, the same one from the forest. Investigators have found a tree marked with the words, "Emma is still alive." They believe it was carved about 6 months ago. Elsewhere, a group of thieves is in the middle of robbing a wealthy family's home. The crew is led by Hogue, who is joined by his brother Ethan, Ethan's girlfriend Tamara, a man named Denny, and Flynn, the careless one who happens to be dating Hogue's daughter, Amber. The robbery takes a dark turn when the family unexpectedly returns home. Panic fills the room. The father reaches for the phone to call the police. But before he can dial, Flynn panics and opens fire. Gunshots echo through the mansion, killing everyone inside. Hogue is furious. He knows the sound of gunfire will attract the police, and now the crew has no choice but to escape before anyone arrives. Back at the hotel, Evan tries to start a simple conversation with Betty about dinner. But the mood quickly turns tense when Betty hints that he might be seeing another woman. That night, they decide to eat at a small diner across from a gas station. Their waitress is Amber, the daughter of Hogue, the leader of the local gang. Not long after, Hogue and his crew arrive at the same place for dinner. From across the room, Flynn watches Betty and Evan, irritated by how calm they look. His arrogance gets the better of him, and he walks over to bother them. Evan tells him to leave, but Flynn keeps pushing, his attitude growing more aggressive until the situation nearly explodes. Hogue quickly steps in and pulls Flynn away. He apologizes to the couple and warns his crew not to cause any more trouble. But the night is far from over. On the way back to the hotel, Flynn, still holding a grudge, ambushes them on the road and smashes their car window. The vehicle swerves out of control and crashes. Thinking the couple might be carrying something valuable, Flynn steals their car and drives it back to the gang's hideout. There, he plans to hack into Evan's accounts for cash, ignoring Hogue's warning not to act on his own. Soon after, Evan and Betty regain consciousness, tied up inside an old garage near the gas station. Ethan enters holding a knife, threatening to kill Betty if they resist. Exhausted and broken, Betty seems to give up. In a quiet moment of despair, she pushes her neck against the blade, ending her life in front of Evan. The sight of her death fills Evan with uncontrollable rage. He breaks free from his restraints and attacks with brutal force. Meanwhile, Flynn starts searching through Evan's car. He finds a wallet and a few papers that seem unimportant. But when he opens the trunk, he notices 2 small holes in the wall of the car and a pair of eyes staring back at him from the darkness. To his shock, he discovers a young woman hidden inside a secret compartment. Flynn and Tamara struggle to pull her out and bring her into the house. Hogue and the others rush downstairs, drawn by the commotion. The girl suddenly starts screaming in panic, warning them to run for their lives. She tells them that the man who owns the car is extremely dangerous and that he is already on his way to kill them all. Moments later, Amber bursts in, panicked, saying they can't reach Ethan by phone. The girl calmly tells them Ethan must already be dead. Realizing the danger, Hogue orders Denny and Tamara to head to the gas station and check what happened to him. A few moments later, Denny and Tamara arrive at the gas station. What they find there is far worse than anything they imagined. Ethan's body lies in a pool of blood, lifeless and mutilated. Nearby, Betty's body rests on the ground, and Evan is nowhere to be found. Without saying a word, they lift Ethan's body into the van and drive back to their hideout. Inside the house, Amber offers clean clothes to the young woman they rescued, giving her a chance to change. As she does, Amber notices something horrifying. The scars on the girl's body are identical to those she had seen earlier on Betty. confirming that Betty was another one of Evan's victims. Then it clicks. Amber recognizes the girl's face. She's seen her before on television. It's Emma, the missing heiress from the opening scene, once accused of killing her own friends. But now the truth becomes clear. It wasn't Emma who committed the murders. It was Evan, the man who had held her captive. Even more shocking, Emma's wealthy family has offered a $2 million reward for any information leading to her rescue. Not long after, Denny and Tamara return home, their faces pale and shaken. They break the news of Ethan's death. Hogue is devastated. Grief turns into rage as he vows to hunt down Evan, no matter what it takes. Denny moves Ethan's body to a small storage shed, but then something impossible happens. Ethan's corpse begins to move. Moments later, Evan emerges from inside his body, drenched in blood and ready to continue his rampage. Meanwhile, Amber and the others realize they could become rich if they hand Emma over to the authorities. Their greed takes over, and the idea enrages Emma. She lashes out and tries to escape, but Hogue overpowers her. As she's dragged back inside, Emma looks through the window and sees Evan standing outside covered in blood. She tells Hogue that he can wait all he wants, but Evan will come, and when he does, no one will survive. Evan washes himself off, changes his clothes, and arms himself with every weapon he has. Outside, Hogue and his men move out to hunt him down. But before they can take a step further, a steel arrow pierces straight through Hogue's chest, dropping him instantly. Panic spreads as Denny triggers one of Evan's traps, leaving him badly injured. Flynn and Tamara open fire, but their bullets barely slow Evan down. The air fills with gunfire and chaos until they're forced to retreat. Denny is losing blood fast, and with Hogue dead, the crew begins to fall apart. Tamara and Flynn argue about what to do next. They want to take Denny to a hospital, but before they can make a move, Evan detonates their van, blowing it apart and cutting off their escape. In the end, Evan emerges victorious after brutally taking down Hogue. Yet even after his enemies are gone, the fury inside him is far from over. In one of the most brutal moments, Evan shows no mercy. He shoves Hogue into an industrial meat grinder. Hogue is still alive, screaming in agony, his body twisting and fighting to survive. But it is useless. Evan watches coldly, unmoved, explaining that he is not a serial killer. He is something far worse, a man who simply enjoys killing many people at once. With one final push, Evan forces Hogue's body completely into the machine. Flesh and bone are crushed and torn apart until the screaming stops. Back at the house, Amber asks Emma why she is the only one still alive. Emma answers calmly that maybe Evan simply likes her. Then comes a flashback. It shows Evan locking himself away with Emma, saying he wants to live with her forever. He believes that only he can free her from her suffering. Emma tries to soothe him, teaching him how to survive, perhaps hoping to keep herself alive a little longer. Then something strange happens. Evan suddenly slits his own throat right in front of her. In that horrifying moment, the twisted nature of their bond becomes clear. To Evan, Emma is the reason he feels alive. Her fight, her refusal to give up, makes him feel something close to purpose. In his broken mind, that is why he believes Emma saved his life. Back in the present, the van has exploded, Hogue is dead, and chaos fills the air. Amber and Tamara argue, their nerves pushed to the edge. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. They freeze and look through the peephole. Hanging outside is a blood-stained bag. Flynn steps closer and sees Hogue's ring dangling from it. Rage boils over. He kicks the bag hard and chunks of Hogue's remains spill out across the floor. The sight leaves everyone in shock and horror. Trying to escape, Denny and Amber head for the garage, hoping to use an old Jeep to get away. They make it there safely, but when Denny tries to start the engine, it sputters and dies. He climbs out to check the problem, unaware of what's coming. Out of nowhere, Evan appears. Without warning, he launches into a violent attack. Seeing what just happened, Amber panics and runs into the forest, desperate to escape. But Evan is relentless. He follows her into the darkness and drives a large knife into her back. Her scream echoes through the woods and reaches the house, but Flynn and Tamara know they cannot help. Overwhelmed by fear, they decide to run while they still can. When they reach the garage, they find Denny dead. The sight breaks Tamara completely, and she cries uncontrollably. Together, they lift his half-lifeless body into their Jeep and drive away. As they speed down the road, fate strikes again. Amber suddenly appears out of nowhere, stumbling onto the street. Flynn slams the brakes, but it is too late. The Jeep hits her, killing her instantly. Shaken and terrified, they drop Denny's body in front of a hospital and continue fleeing from the unstoppable killer. Night falls and they find themselves at a small roadside motel, the same place where the story began. Flynn checks in using Evan's stolen credit card, trying to stay unnoticed. But the clerk senses something suspicious and quietly calls the police. Later, while Tamara showers, Flynn turns his anger toward Emma. He mocks and threatens her, enjoying her fear. Thinking quickly, Emma pretends she needs to go to the bathroom to calm herself. She knows Flynn won't let her live, and her only chance is to act. Just when all seems lost, Tamara appears, handing Emma her own weapon and giving her a small chance to fight back. Before Emma can make a move, the sheriff arrives, knocking on the door and asking Flynn for identification. Without hesitation, Flynn shoots him dead. At that same moment, Evan appears out of nowhere, bursting into the bathroom. He kills Tamara instantly. Emma bolts from the room, running for her life while Flynn chases her with a gun. But then Evan rams into Flynn, throwing him across the parking lot. Emma grabs the fallen gun and fires, but the weapon clicks empty. She's out of bullets. With no other option, she runs again as Evan follows, pleading with her to accept him. But Emma's survival instinct kicks in. She grabs a metal pipe and strikes back with everything she has left. Flynn suddenly reappears holding a shotgun and fires straight at them. Evan reacts instantly, pushing Emma out of the way. The bullet strikes her instead, sending her to the ground. Evan survives the shot, protected by a bulletproof vest, and what follows is a violent, close-quarters fight between him and Flynn. Both men unleash everything they have, each refusing to back down. As the struggle intensifies, Flynn gains the upper hand and is moments away from killing Evan. But then Emma, wounded and barely conscious, finds the strength to attack. She strikes Evan from behind, knocking him down, and grabs the shotgun. Her hands shake as she points it at him, determined to end it herself. She pulls the trigger, but nothing happens. In her panic, she forgot to reload. Evan gets back on his feet and approaches her slowly. There is no anger in his eyes, only a strange calm. He tells her that now she is free. He takes out a knife and slices open her abdomen, removing a small tracking device that had been implanted in her to monitor her location. Emma collapses on the pavement, weak and fading, while Evan turns his gun toward Flynn and shoots him dead. The motel clerk, who witnesses the chaos, becomes the next victim. Evan kills him too, unwilling to leave any witnesses behind. By the next morning, Evan continues his mission, heading to a hospital where Denny is being treated. He whispers to himself that no one will be left alive. Inside Denny's room, Evan grabs a clipboard and uses it as a weapon to kill the last remaining member of Hoag's crew. At the same time, the news reports a false story claiming that Emma had been kidnapped by Hoag's gang. Moments later, Evan spots Emma being rushed into the hospital on a stretcher, barely alive. He walks over, gently takes her hand, and looks at her for a moment before quietly walking away. So the moral of the story is, if your boyfriend's credit card name looks weird, just run, because there's a 99% chance he's secretly a serial killer with a secret room in his trunk.